people keep saying how you'll be the next Labour leader?
I've thought about this a lot because everybody that has become leader or sought leader at some point said they weren't going to.
What is your goal here?
I have a few things that I'd like to see happen. I want to see some real progress in housing. It's been an issue that's plaguing the country for far too long, and there's literally, we're at risk of a whole generation being locked out of owning their own home, and there's no excuse for homelessness in this country. I want to see workers earning a living wage. So if you work for a living, you shouldn't be struggling. I'd like to see New Zealand become a republic. I don't understand how in this day and age that we are comfortable having our head of state being the monarch of England, determined along hereditary lines, not democratic lines. I think that's probably reflective of the whole country, to be honest. It's a question that's never been posed here. They had a referendum in Australia. The only reason that went south was because they couldn't agree on an alternative model, and so they were arguing amongst themselves, or they were putting lots of different options up. Who's going to vote to change something so significant if you don't know what you're changing it to? I've drafted a members' bill. I haven't submitted it yet because it's quite a big deal, and you want to make sure you've consulted with the right people. And we mustn't forget that the treaty was signed with the Crown, and so there will need to be a lot of conversations and reassurance that it is possible in a legal sense to transfer all rights and obligations of the Crown to the state, and that's going to take some work. But what I would like to see is the softest form of becoming a republic as possible. Quite simply, the Governor-General becomes the head of state, and the Parliament still determines who the Governor-General is, but you do so by a supermajority, so you get consensus. And once we get used to the idea that we have a New Zealander as our head of state, then as a country we can have conversations about whether we want to make further changes. You don't want to go in too hard. Stay in the Commonwealth. The majority of countries in the Commonwealth are republics, so there's no dramas there. We can continue to have those relationships with those countries and continue to win medals at the Commonwealth Games. It's all about having a New Zealander as our head of state. Significant world events happen and our head of state can't go and represent us because we don't have our own. The reality is King Charles is our head of state, and as long as he is, I respect that, but I have very firm views that if we as a country, we proudly have an independent foreign policy, yet we still have someone else's monarch as our head of state. I just think that's weird.